Hi, I'm Mike Reed, Operations Section Chief for Rocky Mountain Team 2, and this is your operational update for Monday, June 15th. Let me start out. This good news is we do have line around the entire perimeter of the fire at this point through a combination of either dozer line, grader line, hand line, or in some cases cold black. What it means with cold black is, so in some cases it comes out into some grasses which are very favorable for extinguishment, and we're able to just work that edge direct. We don't have to put, dozer line. It's less of an environmental impact, but still be ensured that, it's not gonna wanna move out of there. Starting in Division Delta, so last night toward the end of shift, we did complete with all our line construction in here. We have the hotshot crews and some other hand crews that are working this edge direct and coming down. If you remember on yesterday's map, there was kind of a donut hole in here is what we call it, but that had consumed. The fuels in there were pretty light. It was in an old burn scar, but that has come together. So we're continuing to work this edge direct all the way down and continuing to make progress. Coming around the top, also working this direct to ensure that it's safe. Moving over into Division Zulu, we did have this containment in here for a couple days now, and the resources that are in there are continuing to work this edge direct as well, mopping up and securing that fire's edge. Just making sure that there's no possibility for it to come out there. The more time that we have in there, the higher our probability of success. Moving down into Division Alpha. This includes the community of Crawford and the Fort Robinson area. We are keeping resources in there, especially around the residences and with the homes in there, just making sure that they're continuing to patrol, in some cases putting their hands right into the dirt to make sure that they're continuing to work that edge. With the drying, we might see a small piece of heat pop up here or there that we can then just get right on and mop up and make it safe. One thing I do want to point out is this is where it did cross over the Highway 20 to the south. There's a creek that runs through here, and there's a significant amount of cottonwoods in there. And those cottonwoods have a tendency, it's pretty work intensive in order to get those mopped up. And we still have some heat in here. We do have line all the way around it. The opportunity for it to come out of there is pretty minimal. But one of the biggest hazards in there is with those cottonwood trees, as they get fire burning around the base of them, they become fire weakened and they have a tendency to want to fall. So for that reason, we're asking that the public to try to stay out of that area. We are aware that Highway 20 is open, but there's still that risk in there with that timber to keep everybody safe. So moving down further into Division Alpha, we have Fort Robinson here. We do have containment all around that, and we are keeping a presence in there and just continuing to patrol that edge. And if we do have some heat that pops up, we're mopping it up. We do ask that if any of the public comes into the Fort Robinson area, just to avoid the fire impacted areas. Moving further into Division Juliet, we have the White River Road here. We are showing containment here. We've worked that direct, and then we still have that dozer line that's here as contingency, but more time that passes, the better it's looked. There are residences along the bottom of this, and for that reason, we're keeping a presence in there and continuing to patrol and mop up as necessary. And then lastly, coming in, I talked about cold black. This is one of those areas. It's really grassy in here. This was on day one is where we had fought this piece of fire here. And, so we worked that edge of the line. It's looking really good and continues to hold in place. So overall on the incident, we're starting to switch up gears a little bit. We're starting to look at where we have dozer line and some grader line and some of those things on the suppression repair side. So one of the things that we do is, after the fire starts to become contained, we go back and we try to repair those lines and put that back as much as possible to how it was prior to the fire. Other than that, we're really making good progress with the weather that's coming in. We have critical weather, fire weather coming in for the next couple of days. So It's gonna give us a little test, but I'm pretty confident that we'll be successful. And that's your operational update for Monday, June 15th.